Okay, so I was I was dreaming. I was dreaming. I mean, this is just a fact. I have to clean up here because I don't wanna get those fines back to the city, so I don't get a lot of problems. Anyhow, I was dreaming that I'm like in the eastern part of Europe, maybe China, between China and Russia, like a part that's totally a different world, totally a different world. And who do I meet over there? I met over there people that are familiar. Isn't that funny? Why? Because sorry for that, some come literally to Western Europe. And over time, and the US, of course, and over time, I got to learn quite a few of these people. And when you are from a Western European zone, you have a different perspective of how the world looks. Because then you know that there is Russia, definitely, and you know there's a China, you know there's a India, and for sure you know there's a Turkey, and the Turkey and all that looks so different. Looks so different from I would say looks totally different from what people mention here. Now, what do they mention here? That's very interesting because when you go to a party here, then you meet people from these parts. Here, by the way, my lousy bed. I mean, I kind of, it's kind of, minimum, 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 minimum decorum. Not a bed and beyond. Just, just kind of simple. Why would I want to have a bed? Anyhow. Oh yeah. It, again, so that also, that brings also then the Middle East into the conversation, because when I first went to Turkey or to Israel or to Tehran, Iran, or to certain other places, I kind of understood Ankara or or Shanghai or Tokyo or Beijing, or I've never been to India, but I mean, and you realize, wow, you can go really, really east, and you can also take a train, which I did, from Vienna I also could never understand why do I have to go to Vienna or Berlin to go to Moscow. And then I was never understanding why would that train go through Hungary. Why would that train go through Hungary? Why wouldn't it just go directly to Moscow, like Autobahn, you know? Yeah, well, because there are countries in between and mountains, and this is kind of like a amazing landscapes, and then don't forget the Czech Republic. That I was there. I have actually definitely some intrinsic relationship to. Intrinsic is really the wrong word. I mean, I have some relationship to it. Just let's keep it simple. And now I go to that party where I was the other day. I meet young people. They're from Israel, for example. Forget about the gender, but obviously gender is just, is totally crucial. And then you kind of always wonder, wow, there is all this family knowledge, or this like tribal knowledge, or this religious knowledge, this family knowledge, this knowledge is there embodied. And then there is school on top of it. So you see these people, they're relatively young. I mean, relatively young. They're maybe 10 years, 15 years into adulthood. Which is, 15 years, not a bad idea. To be 15 years an adult, that brings you 30, that brings you. But 10 years, that brings you 24. That brings you 23. 10 years, no big deal. 10 years is really long, but not that long. Not yet long, because 5 years already can make a huge change in the art world. 6 years can make more, but anyway, I was dreaming of somebody. I didn't know, I just know it was a woman, young, and we were suddenly, where were we? We were in China, and we talked. It's kind of the dream, and we talked over Zoom. I had to call in. I had to call in and give give a report. Say something. Kind of I did. And while I did that, even in the dream, there's this other woman there, and it's kind of, I would say, one of these people I saw yesterday in the park. Very beautiful, very bright, very really white skinned, yeah, and then dresses, and then I bike around the park. I did bike around the park yesterday, something around 9 p.m. Well, it was Wednesday in June, and in case you've noticed, I turned off the air conditioner. So just to save money. And, well, wake up half the dream in my head where I had to make this conversation over Zoom with people on the other side that were more like Central Europe. I mean, no, from not Central, they were like in Western Europe. They were in maybe Rotterdam or wherever they were located. No, just send us, call us in, do something. It could be Germany too, but not Germany because Devlin wasn't German. They had to speak kind of rather English. But then the other person who was there was French, and suddenly I was in New York. Because what appears in a dream, Sante appeared in, and we were suddenly Italian. Sante is this really interesting character. I like Sante. But I was also, he taught me the first time this term trophy wife. And I was like, wow, what the fuck? What is that? He invited me over with my trophy wife, which happened to be Momio, Japanese artist I was with for years. And I was in love, and I was like sitting there in his apartment, and he shows me his apartment, and it was really beautiful. He made food, and it was fabulous. You know, he told me he has that, and there was also this strange talk between us. And this admiration, but I came and Sante was next to Julius, next to Wolfgang and Gisela and Stelle, and next to Peter Fenn. There were like all these people, and a guy who worked with Peter Fenn, this academic. There was kind of boom, just dropped in there. And yeah, and then from there you go ahead, you know, meet people, meet programmers. They had an office, and I was like, wow, okay, people have offices, why not? I was really amazed how much money they could raise to get all these offices and these amazing spaces and this enterprise, and kind of was like a company, and it was called The Thing, you know, it's a network thing, and I was kind of familiar with it because I met them before in Paris, little galleries, and you know, it's relatively small, and there was Kiepenberger show, and he was kind of funny, say hello. People were running around, and then coming back to New York, there's Wingate, where Wolfgang showed, and then kind of fell apart, and then he went on to, I think he made an old gallery. Anyway, just whatever. Tati comes Caroline Schneider from Luxembourg, and well, recently I made a book, Manhattan Marxism, with her, and that was also amazing, and kind of communicate with her still. And then she was in Paris, and then meet all these German, would say art people, but also would say amazingly, let's just call it P collectors, no? That were in real estate. I mean, you know, kind of fears of months. And suddenly the loft was really huge, and there were parties. Wow, that was like, where was I? And in those parties, or at those parties, you always meet those people that are then from America when the party was in New York. In New York, you always have the feeling it all comes together, and that also is the case in Berlin because they exist there too. But the Berlin experience was slightly more different from me. And then there's Vienna, yet another nutcracker, and that brings me not, yeah, yesterday, not go with a bike, 10 o'clock, just talk to this unusually looking couple where I kind of sitting there in this heat and anyway, talk to them. But what's interesting is that shift where people turn a certain age, I think into early adulthood, or just when they turn 20, where they're completely responsible and where they think they own the world, where they are also like damned arrogant, where they think I'm on drugs, where they, and then when it comes to gender, I have to say, even when it's complete strangers, I try to talk to the guys because I don't wanna, even if I'm interested in the ladies, I have to talk to the guys, and they're really mean, and the lady always defends me, and she does it kind of fast and English, of course, to him, with respect and curiosity. And then there's a huge difference in size. Supposedly the ones from yesterday were literally perceived as different gendered, but the longer you talk, you understand they share a mother, an Asian mother, a Chinese mother. And the other guy was ending up in this camp that's called Latino. He said he works for the postal office. He says he works, like, he lives all the way out there in Brooklyn somewhere. Before he said he lives, he's a guy, he tried to prendermi in giro. That means he tried to take me on a ride, like basically to fool with me. And it was interesting, the shift, the aggressiveness of that guy, because he was considered here like colored Latino, but yet as a colored Latino, Asian black, and that brings him with the neighborhood. Depending on what the neighborhood is, that brings you in this area where people are scared of him. People are scared of him, but they're also scared, and they have also to struggle with the perception, the media, gangster rap, with people that are much clearly defined by just Latino and no money, or like striving for money, basically criminality on the fast, because he started to talk about crack, heroin, crack, and violence. Believe it or not, he kind of laughing and go back, like, should I just hit you on the head? You think I'm a criminal? So the interesting thing was yesterday, this perception game. Supposedly America is all the same, and I just obviously don't know what I know. Oh, just American, American. I mean, he wanted me, because he sees me clearly as white. He wanted me to be naive, on crack, on drugs, or asking for drugs, or selling drugs, or he wanted to scare me and scare me away. So how long you want to stay here? He said, well, I can leave now if you want me to continue. I just wanted to have a conversation because you look amazing. And I left. So go back to the dream. But then she called me, no, don't come back. He called after me and said, she wants you back. She wants to know more. So again, gender, ladies, guys, women, curious. Guys hide curiosity, but rather beat it out of people. I mean, extract it somehow, or whatever. A funky. If I go to a party and I meet people that are really famous now, make a lot of money, when they met me with them from before, like those who really make a lot of money, they associate me with also the proximity of success their friends, superstars have. When they show at Vienna or when they show at some of these like really obscure galleries, where they have relationship managers, like basically a lady or a guy working only with one particular artist. Yeah. Then there were moments where the pleasure also was on my side, but not very long. But that moment was always very short-lived, and mostly the enterprise the gallery I was associated with, and it was not a public gallery, public money, public curator, was the boss, or maybe one assistant, sometimes two assistants, but in all likelihood always an assistant who had to take care of all of them, all of us. I mean, the most amazing experience was obviously those who just had no clue, who come in from another field, who I helped to set up. And it kind of didn't happen too often, but kind of it did, partially. That was the case with Maisonneuve. No, at least he was new in New York. It was the case with Massimo De Carlo. He definitely was there. It never happened, only once, and that was Kai. That was totally fine. Kai was very particular because I met him. Art was really out of the spectrum of his expertise, in the sense that he had a clue, he liked it, but he worked once in a little gallery. It was kind of a strange children's gallery I was once in. I think it might even exist, selling strange this and that, and then even, definitely he met always people from another world. And I have to say that I was rather arrogant towards these people, but I was not really arrogant because I was also interested in them, because they would show Asian artists and artists from totally different worlds that were close to me, totally close to me. And then I realized that kind of where I went, there were always like basically I was going streamlined. The, the, I would say determined or dominated by the experience to have worked mostly with those galleries that rather are in art forum or flash art or like those main magazines in the fair, like certain ones, but even that is not true, because when you look who was early on this art fairs, my god, so many, but then still when you go to these art fairs, it's pretty much dominant, but then there's so many dominant ones, and then there's kind of every place you can go to, like the far most removed places I have been, even places where you have the demonstrate of bombs and stuff like that. And in fact, I was there too. When it comes to Grozny, immediately you have, or even, not even, Tehran and major place. And, people have no clue how to deal with this when they have not been there. But then there are this amazing relationship back to the West, to Germany, to Berlin, to Paris, to New York, to Los Angeles. And that's what I mean. Some superstars from those places are then also shown precisely in those galleries where, like, let's say, Heidler. First time when I met him, interned, where he got an internship because he was like at Columbia, and we discussed the art, he explained me the art, and I was like, wow, it's really intelligent, all this stuff. Even though it's a gallery, I wouldn't really go in, and then the owner structure was not completely evident, because just one intern after the other. Then I was, needless to say, interested always in interns. To the point that interns, or those first offenders who answer questions, kind of become a problem. A problem in the sense that I was too curious. I wanted to talk to them. I always kind of like little chit chats and figure out what's going on, just to get to know these people. Because New York is very transient. Transient means people go and come. Brings me back to that dream where I was in China somewhere, or so. Definitely in the East. And that brings me back to that other weekend, last week, that party. And that is also serendipity that I ran into this guy who took me. But his Rolodex, his phone is where is what, who is who, stunningly accurate, to the point, on target, that I meet half the people up there. I meet them, and then they are really, the people have shows on the Lower East Side, and so now there's an Upper East Side, and then I meet them downtown too, or in Chelsea as well. And then there's a Chelsea, and then there are those assistants, and then they start showing, and then, weirdly enough, I messed up that date and didn't go assistant. I know a friend over so many years who met me even with Jason Rhodes and knows me for so many years, start showing. You can be sure this is sustainable. Wow. Comes the question, what should I do? Just move into the street or do my own artwork. And I always try to do as much as I can. And then I have even take into account that I have to take care of people, and kind of what I do now. Because I record this shit and I can now speak briefly about the impression I had when I saw Zing Magazine 25 coming out. Wow, and who is in it? And I don't want to complain, I was in a couple of times, but out of 25, I was not 25 times in, and that's kind of the accusation why I'm never gonna be in anymore. And that's what she said, and I love her, I respect her, and that brings me now back to the early 90s, but there are other ones out of that period. I met and I saw them, so maybe minus 5 years. It's strange what to say here, because certain people are featured. I mean, I can't deny all the time in that magazine, literally all the time, and they're like even featured as superstars, and you know what I mean, they kind of are women Asian and interesting, brings me to certain other galleries, and that brings me to other people, and that brings me to other players, and even to people from my immediate vicinity that know me even longer than only those years, and know me nearly for, I would say, 50 years, nearly 45 years, because we went to kind of school next to each other in a train that's shown out here. So it's like a really long time, and he does very well, and on many levels. And I ask myself, how did I fuck it up? But I do remember those frictions, and I do remember those arrogant points where people suddenly turned away from me based on this or that jealous moment or competitive moment, or you could also call it tragic moment. And I am still in tragedy, believe me, in tragedy mode. And dream or not, reality is definitely, for me, kind of a measurement of self-questioning what I did wrong or not, where I fucked up or not, what if, should I, when will it change, because, and with whom, which is the alliance I should have maintained better or abandoned earlier or not entered altogether. But let's just even talk about that, because that brings me yet to another person who then not much later, a woman from Italy, became a dealer, and she definitely wanted a child the way I definitely wanted a child. And that came at a certain moment, and that brings me yet a couple of times to these questions of the children and abortions, but let's maybe not open that page one more time, because that also could have really made stunning changes. And then you wonder how alliances and empathies or sympathies, sympathetic feelings, for not even saying more, how feelings and looks and attitudes and success are intertwined, how age is also relative, and when people mature into their early 20s, but it starts with 15, 16, 17 and up, where they suddenly know everything. A process I can now observe with my son, and there comes the question, why do I not get to talk to him more? Comes the answer to the question, why does this guy, me, here, an artist, Rainer Ganal, me, put his shit on YouTube in full transparency? And I say things, to my defense or whoever, I don't look at any of that. I just put it up and hope I didn't offend somebody. Or somebody doesn't decontextualize somebody and says, I bad talk them. So I'm very careful with names. But some names are names I really appreciate. And by the way, names brings me to certain Maurizio. And that definitely is Catalan. We were also together in a gallery. And then when I had a show, supposedly, I was not nice to him because I was very nervous to set it up. And then he was very, I would say he was very aggravatedly insulted by me. And then I just could all the time tell him I'm very sorry. And then I had this show, there was somewhere in a show in Switzerland where he was there and we were all there. Massimo went with me there, but it was a show by a guy who's not even dead. Is he dead? Yeah, I think he passed away. Anyway, cancer, people die. And wow, the way I live, I should make it another 30, 40 years easily. And what I'm dealing here with is also tremendously annoying. My location, not annoying, but just like problems. Kind of really beautiful here, but the problems I have with this house here is just damned fucked up. And even that gives me a bad reputation. Even that fucks me up. As if I wanted to be here in the first place, because I don't want to be a gentrifier. As if. And that discussion of gentrification was always a topic of my interests. And then comes the serious question, what kind of an artist am I? Now, technically, this should all be recorded. Yeah, 41 minutes. Almost every day a dream. A biopic, kind of. My children could see that, and anybody after me. I mean, like, let's say I find again love in a woman. I find a woman who loves me, who is younger. She can then have children, and one day they can see those, and then I will be even older. But then they can go back and look at this material. Wonder why is this car so loud outside? And what goes on? And why does Daddy waste all his time speaking crap, nonsense, or what is it? Because for me it makes sense. I see people, I see references, I try to depict it as well as possible, those tensions between groups and these nasty rivalries are they called, that in certain areas are even executed or translate into physical fights, into war, into bomb attacks, and then you have aggression. I mean, that noise comes definitely from a part of the street where I was beaten up only like last year or the year before. I mean, in my kind of also, it was last year, yeah, 2020, by one of those fancy drug dealers who wanted to be, who is a family father and who is a neighbor opposite of me and who is definitely not looking like me. A term. Oh, by the way, very interesting, the Latino lady. And I talked to her mother, I talked to him, we were friends. And it was really tragic for me, for not calling it tragic comically, but really tragic, why our relationship turned so sour that he had to run after me with a skateboard and try to decapitate me, like to really hit it at me, and I was nearly dead, and he jumped at me and really fucking beat me up. Bloody in the street. Totally ribs broken and hurt and traumatizing, that even before on top of all the court procedures I had. And then when the woman said I am insane and then explained that shit, and then I went obviously a little bit nuts. I sent email to the referee in a family case. I contacted also then an earlier defender of mine between Charles for CNN, who died, who took a lot of money from me to defend me in court. So these are definitely not the easiest times to enjoy the American dream. Okay, the American dream, and that brings me to damned Frank Zappa. I really like the American dream. And that was played at that party, and I danced a little bit. And I realized you just kind of don't dance anymore, so really. And then we went to another rooftop party on the Lower East Side, and there they were dancing, and people made fun of it. And so it's kind of like, oh, they all want to be as if they are like 14, but in fact they were really in their 20s. And I liked it, but I was slightly, didn't know anybody really there, but a lot of people from the outdoor came from the other party. Anyhow, now there's a guy I should contact who might show my work downtown, like hang a piece in there, in that space that has a name. I got a number, but then I was never following up. Why? Because I kind of forget. Go to one party, you meet too many new people. Go home, it all becomes a sauce, ketchup. Go to galleries I know for so many years. They say they're gonna come visit, but then they never come. Then the fundamental question, I mean, in the end, I still show it on Instagram, and this video goes on YouTube. Well, you see, it's slightly a nervous neighborhood, to say the least. High crime rate, I mean, that's just subjective. But that has nothing to do with crime. It's just, I don't know who is signaling what to whom to what, but definitely makes me remember of certain films. And I think I stop and wake up, but the dream definitely had something to do with my past, my present, my future, my life as an artist. Because somebody is here signaled. I know that much. Somebody signals here attention necessary. We need a bigger delivery of something. Bring it down. It wouldn't be a good idea. It wouldn't be idea. It wouldn't be idea. I mean, it's so funny how people signal in the street from the back. I mean, obviously the NYCHA, the low-income housing project on the other side, and then from the left of the street to the end of the street, or the street on 131st Street. And their traits here stunningly alive, just like Baldwin described it, with all tragedies and death and mouse and mice and hunting and police interventions and shootings and scams, actually, even in my house, believe it or not. And the little shops, and it's different in the neighborhood. And the food next there, and the church, and then this and that, and my neighbors, and those who work, those who don't, anyhow. 50 minutes already. Wow. Upstairs, somebody not paying shit, Chinese American, taking a bath in one of my nicest units here. I work so hard for. Scams, trying to evict him, pay a lot of money. Difficult to find the money for me. Incredibly difficult because nobody pays me. They just break the law. Not coming anymore from money, and as if I ever was, not having money in the back of my family. Forget about it. It's really fucked up. And he, very cynical, sent me the 30-day notice. It's a 60-day notice, and then eviction. Eviction court. Well, I want to see that one. Because that brings me to August and winter, then the moratorium maybe. I mean, who knows? Really effed up. And then I should travel. And then the dates, no. And today I have to. So I have a few days to get a travel date. Go to a place where people, in all likelihood, are a little bit more responsible, but even there. Now talks along, nothing, bull, but I consider it art. I put it just on YouTube and erase it. I don't wanna jam my iPhone here. 11, by the way, iPhone 11 RX. Still working, the screen is still okay. I have another one in case, but really, it's really hot. Getting hot. It's getting summer again. It's kind of. I think I need to turn that air conditioner on again, because me saving these people, just using me in the other place, the same children not to be seen for years. Humiliation court procedures. And famous friends sending me hanging there. It's gonna change. Wow. Yeah. Friends are coming up very big time in the galleries, introduce them to, which is fantastic. I am very happy they do so well. Intergenerational wealth, by the way, and intelligent. It's kind of interesting, you know? That's what I mean, like those who appear here are just like, wow, they're really compressed into something. And are you on drugs? No, I'm not on drugs. And at this point, whatever I say, people just simply don't trust me. If I shut up, strange. If I say something strange, so I just say it here. Maybe soon, if this shit continues, that's just a dream. I don't know how long I'm gonna maintain this strain of art production. Because you see, I hear the water upstairs. He has a dog, wasn't supposed to have a dog. His Airbnb wasn't supposed to be here. He scams me, doesn't pay anything. He's arrogant. He acts as if he owns the house. Ask for money. He just, calls it harassment. So I don't ask for money. I'm in the court. And then go one more up, it's just kind of the same. I'm really happy the water's not running down here. That's pretty much already an accomplishment. Because the fucking place had to be set up. Because why? I had to kind of get out of the other place. Nothing funny. And since, that's in the 6 years. So my children, no clue about German, no clue about who I am. Two of them, 10 and 13. Presents, forget about it. Public defense, meanwhile, because we ran out. I ran out. Really stupid. Question is, what would have been a good deal? What? Anyhow, very tricky everything. Many mistakes made. Really expensive. Those maneuvers, and then I even had somebody who helped me to navigate it, and then I got also the fabulously intelligent cold shoulder, and from there went all downhill. I kind of don't want to go over an hour. Boom boom, yeah. Can't even mention the name because boom boom. I could go to jail if I mention names here, because these people also then just, I don't want to deal with your shit. Bye bye. Parked me here, put me out, because what they wanted was, they said marriage and out of the other place, the children and whatever. I mean, then I got hit with a fist and a mug and stuff like that because I couldn't resolve the situation peacefully. Very disgusting. That kind of downscaled me. Anyhow, I shut up now. And that's kind of, why doesn't he shut up? So, I shut up. Still a video by me. Sorry. I dream of China, meet somebody, talking, try to explain, and express feelings about a state of my current situation reflected in dreams, wishful, dreamy, nightmares. Everything is overlapped. No money, pain, separated from my family, the zones of wars, autonomies, dependencies, courts, no drugs on my end, no alcohol on my end, rather learning, even Chinese, 我会说中文, I love it. I love it. I wanna eat Tian. I love it really. I mean, like, fantastic languages. Sante was here. All kind of people appeared here. The entire review one more time, and then now there are new generations already on the run up here. How would that turn out? Because some of my ex students, they don't treat me nicely currently even. That's really disgusting. So, okay, I turn it off in the 59th minute now and say goodbye. I love you all, but I still reject the notion that it's all my fault and ask, what did I do wrong? Except trusting people and see them getting very nervous and super nervous, because nervosity and stress is kind of the business we are in when we are artists. So it's fucked up to be an artist. Sorry for that.